The planet was dying. The wind howled across empty fields of ice and broken stone. Long ago, this world was green and full of life. Now it was nothing but endless cold and hunger. Every night the stars shone bright, but they gave no warmth. The moons hung low like pale ghosts, watching over a world that had forgotten what peace meant. On this frozen planet, two sisters struggled to stay alive. Their names were Nea and Lyra. They lived inside the ruins of an old mining shelter. Metal walls creaked in the cold. The roof leaked snow and frost. Inside, a tiny fire flickered weakly, fighting to stay alive, just like them. Lyra, the younger one, was thin and weak. Her skin had turned pale gray, her eyes tired and hollow. She hadn't eaten for 2 days. Her stomach hurt so much that she couldn't even cry anymore. Nea, her older sister, sat beside her, holding her close. She rubbed Lyra's hands, trying to warm them. "It's okay, little star," she whispered. "I'll find something. I promise," but her voice shook. She had said those same words every day. And every day, things got worse. Outside, there were no animals left. The rivers were frozen. The sky was always gray. The alien city where they once lived had fallen years ago after a terrible war. Many had died. The rest had fled to far colonies. Only a few poor souls like them were left behind, forgotten by the universe. Nea looked at her sister's face. Lyra was barely breathing now. Her lips were dry, her hands cold as ice. Nea felt fear rise inside her chest like fire. She couldn't lose her, not after losing everyone else. She stood up and wrapped her torn coat tighter. "Stay here," she whispered to Lyra. "I'll bring food." "Whatever it takes." The storm outside screamed like a living thing. Snow stung her face as she stepped into the night. Her alien eyes glowed faintly, reflecting the pale light of the moons. She walked for hours through the white wasteland. Her feet bled, the cold bit deep into her skin. Still, she kept walking. She had to. In the distance, she saw lights, not alien lights, but human lights. Everyone on this planet knew of them. Humans had come here after the war, building small colonies to mine resources. Some aliens said humans were kind. Others said they were cruel, that they captured starving aliens and sold them. Nea didn't know what to believe, but she had no choice. Her sister was dying. As she stood on a hill, staring at the human outpost below, her heart pounded. The base was surrounded by fences and towers. Drones hovered above, scanning the snow. The humans inside were warm and safe, eating, drinking, living, while her sister starved. Nea's hands clenched. Tears burned her eyes, freezing on her cheeks. "Please," she whispered to the wind. "Just one chance." She waited until night was deepest, then began to walk toward the lights. Each step felt heavier than the last. Suddenly, a searchlight swept across the snow. She froze. Her heart stopped. The beam passed just inches from her feet. She dropped to the ground and crawled. Her hands sank into the snow. Every breath hurt. But she kept going, closer and closer to the human fence. Finally, she reached it. The tall metal barrier hummed with energy. Behind it, she saw shadows, human soldiers moving inside their warm shelters. Nea pressed her hands against the fence. The metal burned her palms with cold. "Please," she whispered again, though no one could hear her. Then, footsteps. A human soldier was walking nearby, holding a rifle with a glowing blue light. Nea stood up slowly, trembling. "Please," she cried out. "Help me." The soldier turned sharply, shouting something in his language. Lights flashed. More soldiers came running. Nea didn't move. She lifted her hands, showing she had no weapon. Her voice broke. "My sister." "She's dying. Please. Food." For a moment, no one moved. The snow fell silently between them. The humans stared and surprised. They had seen aliens before, but never one like her. Small, fragile, eyes full of tears. Then, one man stepped forward. His armor was heavier, his face older. He was the commander, Captain Reed. He looked at her for a long time. Then, in a calm but cold voice, he asked, "What are you willing to give? For that food?" Nea froze. The wind howled again. The meaning of his words echoed inside her heart. Her eyes widened. She looked back at the empty white land, then toward the base, and whispered, barely audible, "Anything." And as the snow began to fall harder, the lights around her turned red. The story of her choice had just begun. The soldiers surrounded Nea. Red lights from their weapons painted the snow like blood. Her heart pounded so loudly she thought the humans could hear it. The cold air stung her face and her breath came out in short, shaky clouds. Captain Reed raised his hand and the soldiers stopped. For a long moment, no one spoke. Only the wind whispered, "What are you doing here?" Reed's voice was calm but sharp. His words carried authority and curiosity. Naya tried to speak, but her lips trembled. "My sister," she said softly, her voice weak. "She's starving, please. Help her." Reed's eyes narrowed. He studied her closely. She was thin, her alien skin cracked from the cold, her clothes torn and dirty. He had seen many aliens during the wars, but never one like her. She didn't look like a soldier or an enemy. She looked broken. He lowered his rifle slightly but didn't smile. "You shouldn't be here," he said. "This area is restricted to humans." "I had no choice," Naya whispered. "She will die tonight if I don't find food." The soldiers exchanged looks. Some seemed uneasy. Others looked cold, unmoved. Reed sighed and stepped closer. His boots crunched in the snow. "Why should we help you?" he asked. "Your kind fought against us once." Naya looked up, her eyes full of pain. "That war is over," she said. "We lost everything. We have nothing left but hunger." For a moment, Reed said nothing. His expression softened slightly, but he kept his distance. He didn't want to show weakness in front of his men. He turned to one of his soldiers. "Take her inside," he ordered. "Search her for weapons." 2 humans grabbed her arms. Their touch was rough, but she didn't fight back. She was too tired. As they led her through the gates, warmth hit her face for the first time in months. Inside the human camp, everything felt strange. Machines hummed softly, lights glowed, and the smell of cooked food filled the air. The humans lived in metal shelters with heat and power. It was a different world, safe, alive, human. Naya's eyes filled with tears again. She could almost feel Lyra's small hands in hers. If only she could bring her here, she thought. If only she could save her. The soldiers pushed her into a small room. There was a chair, a table, and a heater that buzzed quietly. Reed entered a few moments later. He took off his helmet, revealing tired eyes and short brown hair. He placed a packet of food on the table, silver, sealed, and steaming slightly. The smell made Naya's stomach twist painfully. Reed sat across from her. "This food could feed your sister," he said slowly. "But nothing is free here." Naya stared at the packet. Her throat tightened. "I have nothing," she whispered. "No money, no home. Only her." Reed leaned back. "Then why should I help?" Her eyes glistened. "Because you can." Those 3 words hit something inside him, something buried deep. For years he had seen aliens as enemies, as threats. But now, sitting in front of him, this one looked more human than anyone he'd met. He looked down at the food, then back at her. "If I help you," he said slowly, "what will you give me in return?" The room went silent. The heater hummed. Naya understood what he meant. Her hands shook. She looked at him, not with anger, but with sorrow. She had come this far. There was no turning back. Tears slipped down her cheeks. "If my life is the price," she whispered, "then take it. Just save her." Reed froze. He hadn't expected that answer. He had seen fear, hate, even rage from aliens, but not this. Not pure love. He stood up suddenly and turned away, hiding his face. His fists tightened. Memories of his little sister flashed before him, a small girl who had died years ago in the human-alien war. She had the same eyes, the same pleading look. He walked to the door, breathing heavily. The soldiers outside waited for his orders. Reed's voice came out quiet but firm. "Prepare a medical team. We're going to find her sister." The soldiers hesitated. "Sir, the command—" "Do it," he snapped. Naya looked up, confused. "You'll help her?" Reed turned to face her. His eyes were softer now. "Yes, but you stay here. It's safer inside." As he left the room, Naya's knees gave way. She fell to the floor crying, but this time they were tears of hope. Outside, the humans loaded supplies onto a vehicle. The snowstorm raged again as the engines roared to life. For the first time, Naya felt a flicker of warmth inside her frozen heart, but deep down, she didn't know that this night, this one act of mercy, would change the fate of both species forever. The storm outside screamed like a beast. The snow blew hard against the metal walls of the human camp, shaking every corner. Inside the small room, Naya sat on the cold floor, her hands pressed together, whispering her sister's name. "Lyra, please hold on." Just a little longer? Her body trembled from fear and exhaustion. The warmth of the heater touched her skin, but her heart was frozen in worry. She didn't know if the humans would really help or if they would lie to her. The door suddenly opened. Captain Reed stepped in, his uniform wet with snow. His face looked tired but strong. Behind him, 2 soldiers carried heavy boxes, food, blankets, and medical kits. Naya stood up quickly, hope flashing in her eyes. "Did you find her?" she asked, her voice shaking. Reed looked at her, silent for a moment. "Not yet," he said slowly. "But we're sending a search team now. They'll find her shelter." Naya's knees weakened. She almost fell, but Reed caught her arm. She looked at him, eyes wide. "You mean it?" He nodded. "I gave my word." For the first time, she saw kindness in a human's eyes. But behind that kindness, there was something else. Guilt. Reed turned away quickly, as if hiding something inside him. Naya sat back down, whispering, "Thank you. Thank you so much." Reed left the room without answering. He didn't want her to see the storm inside his mind. Outside, the soldiers were preparing vehicles. Some looked unhappy. One of them, a tall man named Harris, muttered, "Why are we risking our lives for an alien? They wouldn't do the same for us." Reed glared at him. "Because we can," he said simply. "That's what makes us human." The engines started roaring against the howling wind. The trucks rolled into the storm, headlights cutting through the darkness. Inside the camp, Naya waited. Minutes turned into hours. Every sound made her flinch. Every gust of wind made her heart race. She thought about Lyra, her small hands, her soft voice. The way she used to laugh before hunger stole it away. She thought about the food packet on the table. It was right there, shining in the light. But she couldn't eat. Not while her sister was starving somewhere out there. She sat still, watching the snow outside the window. Her tears froze before they could fall. Finally, the door burst open. Reed returned, his face covered in frost, his eyes full of urgency. 2 medics followed behind him, carrying something wrapped in thick blankets. Naya gasped. "Lyra!" She rushed forward, falling to her knees beside the stretcher. Lyra's small face was pale, lips blue. Her breathing was weak, barely there. "Is she alive?" Naya cried. The medic nodded quickly. "Barely. We found her unconscious, temperature dangerously low. She needs warmth and protein immediately." Reed stepped back, watching silently as the humans worked to save the alien child. He felt something deep inside, something he hadn't felt since the war ended. It was compassion. Naya held her sister's hand tightly. "Stay with me, little star. Don't go." The medics injected something into Lyra's arm. They covered her in warm cloths, placed heaters close to her, and fed her small drops of liquid energy. Minutes passed like hours. The storm outside slowly faded, and for the first time silence filled the room. Then, a sound, a small cough. Lyra's chest moved weakly. Her eyes opened a little, blinking against the light. Sister?" she whispered. Naya broke into tears, laughing and crying at the same time. "Yes, I'm here. You're safe now." Reed turned away, hiding the emotion in his eyes. The soldiers around him looked down, unable to speak, but Naya saw something in his expression. Pain. "Captain," she said softly, "why did you help me?" "Humans and my kind, we are enemies." Reed looked at her for a long time. Then he spoke quietly. "Once I had a little sister. She died during the war, the same war your people and mine fought. I couldn't save her. Maybe saving yours will bring her peace." Naya's heart tightened. She wanted to say thank you, but her voice wouldn't come out. Reed walked to the door, stopping for a moment. "Stay inside," he said. "It's safer here. But remember, not all humans are like me. Some won't understand." Then he left. Hours later, Naya watched Lyra sleeping peacefully for the first time in weeks. The room was quiet, the heater buzzing softly. Outside, dawn began to rise, painting the snow in shades of pink and gold. But Naya couldn't sleep. Her thoughts raced. What will happen now? She wondered. Will they let us stay? Or send us away? And deep down, another question whispered inside her heart. What will I give? If they ask for more? She looked at Lyra's small hand, warm now, alive. A soft smile touched her lips. If her sister needed her life, she would give it. That was her truth. Her terrible choice. And outside, beyond the human walls, something dark watched from the hills. The first shadow of danger yet to come. Morning came slow on the frozen planet. The storm had passed, leaving behind endless silence and soft golden light reflecting off the snow. Inside the human camp, Naya sat beside her sister's bed. Lyra was breathing softly now, her skin no longer pale like death. The warmth of the heater filled the room, and for the first time in months Naya could feel peace. But her peace was fragile, like ice ready to break. She looked around. Everything in the camp felt strange. The walls hummed with energy. Humans moved with order and confidence. They wore metal armor and carried weapons that glowed blue. Their faces showed no emotion, only discipline. Naya whispered to Lyra, brushing her hair gently. "You're safe now, little one. The humans helped us." Lyra's small lips curved in a faint smile before she drifted back to sleep. Moments later, the door opened. Captain Reed stepped in. His eyes looked tired but softer than before. He carried a small tray with food, bread, fruit, and something warm in a cup. "You need to eat," he said, placing the tray near her. Naya hesitated. "For me?" he nodded. "You've been through a lot." Her fingers shook as she picked up the food. She hadn't eaten properly in days. But before she took a bite, she looked at him and asked, "Why? Why are you helping us?" Reed didn't answer right away. He looked out the window at the shining snow. "Not all humans are the same," he said finally. "Some of us remember what it means to care." His words were simple, but they hit her heart deeply. As Naya ate slowly, Reed leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "Your sister will recover," he said. "She's strong. She's everything to me," Naya whispered. "I thought I lost her." Reed looked at her for a long moment. Then with a sigh he said, "You remind me of someone I once knew." "My sister." Naya tilted her head. "Your sister?" He nodded, his gaze distant. "She was younger, sweet, kind, and always believed people could change. She died during the war. I couldn't save her." Naya lowered her eyes. "I'm sorry." Reed gave a sad smile. "You shouldn't be. You didn't start that war." For a while, silence filled the room. The only sound was the faint hum of the heater and the soft breathing of Lyra. Then Naya spoke again, her voice small but steady. "Humans and my people, we fought for nothing. So many died. Maybe mercy is what we both forgot." Reed looked at her, surprised by her words. He nodded slowly. "Maybe mercy is the only thing left that can save us." As the day passed, Naya was allowed to walk around the camp. Everywhere she looked, humans stared, some with curiosity, others with hate. A young soldier whispered to another, "Why is she here? She's one of them." Naya lowered her eyes, pretending not to hear. But Reed saw. "Enough," he said sharply. "She's under my protection." The soldiers fell silent, though their eyes still burned with anger. Naya stayed close to her sister's room, afraid of saying the wrong thing. Yet she noticed something strange, then small acts of kindness. A human nurse brought her water without speaking. Another left a blanket by the door when the night grew cold. It was as if the humans didn't want to care, but couldn't stop themselves. That evening, Reed came again. He looked tired, a file in his hand. "Orders from command," he said grimly. "They know you're here." Naya's heart froze. "What will they do?" Reed closed the file and met her eyes. "They want you and your sister sent to the outer zones. Alien territory. They think helping you is a waste of resources." Tears filled Naya's eyes. "Please, not now." "She's still weak," Reed sighed. He looked down at the file, then back at her. "I can delay the order, but only for a few days. Why risk your job for us?" she asked softly. He gave a faint smile. "Because I already lost one sister. I won't lose another." For the first time, Naya smiled too. A small, fragile smile full of gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered. "If I ever find a way to repay you, I will." Reed turned to leave but stopped at the door. "Just keep her alive," he said. "That's enough repayment." Later that night, when everyone was asleep, Naya looked at Lyra and then at the stars through the small window. She thought of all that had happened, the fear, the hunger, the mercy. Humans were strange, she realized, capable of destruction and of kindness. She closed her eyes and whispered softly, "Maybe there's still hope, even in the heart of humans." But in the dark corner of the camp, someone else watched. A human officer with cold eyes. He whispered into his communicator, "The alien is alive. Captain Reed is protecting her. I'll report to command at dawn." Mercy had saved her once, but soon mercy would become rebellion. The night was silent, but the camp wasn't asleep. Somewhere beyond the warm lights, secrets were moving like shadows. Naya didn't know it yet, but her arrival had already started something dangerous. Inside the medical cabin, Lyra slept peacefully. Her tiny chest rose and fell in calm rhythm. The heater hummed softly, spreading a golden light across her face. For the first time, she looked alive. Naya sat beside her, holding her hand. Her mind was heavy with fear and questions. Why had the humans really helped them? Why did Captain Reed, a human soldier, care so much for two strangers? The door opened quietly. It was Reed. He looked tired, his eyes darker than before. In his hands was a small silver box. "You should rest," he said gently. "I can't," Naya replied. "Every time I close my eyes, I see my sister dying again." Reed sighed and placed the box on the table. "I brought something for her. Medicine from our supply. It will help her recover faster." Naya looked at him, her voice soft. "You keep helping us, why?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he sat on the floor across from her, staring at the heater's flickering light. "There are things about this camp you don't know," he said slowly. "Things even I don't agree with." Her heart tightened. "What do you mean?" Reed leaned his elbows on his knees. "The humans here, not all of them came for peace. Some came to control what's left of this planet. They say it's about rebuilding, but it's really about power. The more land, the more resources. The more command one gets." Naya's eyes widened. "So that's why they hate us?" "Yes," he said. "To them, you're a problem, but not people." Silence hung between them. The wind outside howled, pressing against the walls. "Why are you telling me this?" Naya asked quietly. Reed looked up, his gaze sharp and full of pain. "Because I was one of them once. I believed everything they said, that aliens were monsters. Until the day my sister died." He paused, his voice shaking slightly. "She was just a child. The war had reached our city. My squad got orders to evacuate only humans. But she refused to leave her alien friend behind. She ran back to help her. They both didn't make it." Naya's breath caught in her throat. "She died saving an alien?" Reed nodded slowly. "That's when I realized. The war wasn't between humans and aliens. It was between good hearts and cold ones." For a long time, neither spoke. The only sound was Lyra's steady breathing and the soft hum of the machines. Finally, Naya whispered, "Your sister was brave. I think she would be proud of you." Reed gave a faint, tired smile. "Maybe. Or maybe she'd tell me I still have a long way to go." Suddenly, the door opened. A tall officer entered, the same one who had been watching earlier. His name was Lieutenant Cray. His eyes were cold as ice. "Captain Reed," Cray said sharply. A word outside. Reed stood, tension in his shoulders. He looked at Naya and whispered, "Stay here. Don't say a word." When they stepped outside, Cray's voice dropped to a hard tone. "Command knows you've been hiding the aliens. They want them transferred to the transport ship by morning." Reed's jaw tightened. "They're not ready to move. The child will die if we take her out in this weather." Cray's smirk was cruel. "That's not your concern, Captain." "Orders are orders," Reed's eyes flared. "She's just a kid, Cray. Look at her. She's no threat." Cray stepped closer, his voice cold. "Then maybe you've forgotten which side you're on." "You're a soldier, not a savior." Reed didn't move. He just stared at him, silent and furious. After a moment, Cray walked away, his boots crunching in the snow. "You have until dawn, Captain. After that, I'll take them myself." Inside the room, Naya had heard everything. She sat frozen, her heart pounding. Dawn. They would take her and Lyra away at dawn. She looked at her sister, sleeping peacefully, unaware of what was coming. Tears welled up in her eyes. When Reed returned, she looked at him desperately. "They want to take us, don't they?" He hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, but I won't let them." Naya stared at him in disbelief. "You'll fight your own people." "For us?" Reed took a deep breath. "For what's right." He looked at the little alien girl sleeping and then back at Naya. "I made a promise, to her and to myself. I won't fail again." Naya reached out and touched his hand. "Then we'll fight too. Whatever comes, we'll face it together." Outside, the sky turned darker. The first light of dawn was still hours away. But the storm had started again, harder, louder, colder, and somewhere in that storm, a decision was forming, one that would change everything for both species. Mercy had started this story, but soon rebellion would write the next chapter. The storm had grown stronger again. Wind howled through the human camp like a warning from the sky. The metal roofs rattled. The fences trembled under the cold. The world itself seemed angry. Inside the small medical room, the heater's glow flickered weakly. Naya sat beside her sister, brushing Lyra's soft hair. The little one was awake now, weak but smiling faintly. "Sister?" she whispered, her voice tiny. "Is it morning?" "Not yet, little star," Naya said softly. "Sleep more. We'll be safe soon." But her eyes told a different story. Fear, doubt, and hope, all mixed together. Captain Reed stood by the door, staring out into the storm. His jaw was tight, his mind restless. He had only a few hours left before Lieutenant Cray came to take the aliens away. Every second felt heavier. Every gust of wind outside sounded like the ticking of a clock counting down to disaster. Reed turned to Naya. "We have to move before dawn," he said quietly. "If Cray finds you here, I won't be able to stop him." Naya stood, her heart pounding. "Where will we go?" "There's an old mining tunnel just outside the ridge," Reed explained. "It's hidden from scanners. I can take you there. After that, we'll find a transport ship. There's a colony 2 systems away. They accept both humans and aliens. You'll be safe there." Naya looked down at her sister. "But she's still weak." "I know," Reed said, his voice firm. "That's why we move now, before it's too late." He handed her a small bundle, food, a thermal blanket, and a tiny energy cell. "Keep this close. It will keep her warm." Naya looked up at him, her eyes full of tears. "Why are you doing this, Captain?" "You'll lose everything." Reed smiled sadly. "Maybe some things are worth losing, if it means doing what's right." Outside, the storm was merciless. Snow and dust whipped across the camp, hiding shapes and shadows. Reed led them through narrow paths, moving quietly between buildings. "Stay close," he whispered. The camp was almost asleep, but soldiers still patrolled near the gates. Naya's heart raced with every step. Lyra clung to her, her small hands gripping tightly. As they passed a communication tower, Reed froze. Voices echoed nearby. 2 guards stood under the light, talking. "Heard the aliens are in the med bay," one said. "Lieutenant Cray's gonna take them at sunrise. I hope he does it fast. I'm sick of them being here." Reed's hand tightened on his rifle. He wanted to shout at them, to tell them how wrong they were, but he stayed silent. Instead, he led the sisters through the dark side of the compound. Finally, they reached the back fence. The energy barrier shimmered faintly. Reed pulled out a small device from his pocket and attached it to the fence. The barrier flickered, then shut down for a few seconds. "Go," he said quickly. Now Naya hesitated. "What about you?" "I'll follow once I cover our tracks," he replied. "Just run," she nodded, her eyes full of gratitude. She carried Lyra through the snow, her feet sinking deep, every step a struggle against the wind. Reed watched them disappear into the white storm, 2 small figures against the darkness. Then he turned back toward the camp. He needed to erase all records of them before Cray found out, but Cray was already awake. Inside the command room, alarms began to beep softly. The system had detected an energy disruption, right at the fence. Cray leaned forward, eyes narrowing. "So, Captain Reed," he muttered, "you made your choice." He grabbed his coat and shouted, "Squad 1 with me. The captain has betrayed command." The camp erupted with noise. Sirens wailed. Lights flashed red. Out in the storm, Naya heard the alarm and froze. "They know," she whispered. Reed ran toward them, his breath heavy, snow blinding his vision. "Keep moving," he shouted. "Go to the tunnel." They ran through the blizzard, wind cutting their faces. The sound of engines roared behind. Cray's vehicles were chasing them. Reed fired into the air, creating a distraction. Explosions flashed like lightning. The storm became a battlefield of snow and fire. Naya stumbled but kept going. Lyra clung to her chest, whispering weakly, "I'm scared." "I know, little star," Naya whispered back. "But humans are helping us now." When they finally reached the dark mouth of the mining tunnel, Reed turned and faced the soldiers chasing them. "Go inside," he shouted. "Don't stop." Naya looked at him one last time. "Come with us." Reed smiled faintly. "I will. Right after I teach them what humanity really means." Then he turned, rifle in hand, facing the storm as soldiers emerged from the snow. Cray's voice echoed through a speaker, cruel and sharp. "Reed, you chose aliens over your own kind. You'll die a traitor." Reed raised his gun. "No, Cray, I chose to be human." The wind screamed and the night exploded with light. Deep inside the tunnel, Naya held her sister tight as the echoes of battle faded into the storm. Tears rolled down her cheeks. For the first time, she understood what made humans different. Not their weapons, not their power, but their choices. The choice to show mercy when it costs everything. The choice to be kind in a cruel universe. That was humanity's true strength. Snow fell like silent ash over the battlefield. The wind had quieted, but the air still burned with smoke and sadness. Captain Reed stood alone near the frozen ridge, his breath heavy, his body trembling. Behind him, the mining tunnel where Naya and Lyra hid glowed faintly with light. Ahead, the shapes of armed soldiers appeared through the fog. Lieutenant Cray's voice echoed from the dark. "You can't run, Reed. Step aside and hand them over. Those creatures don't belong in our world." Reed gripped his rifle tighter. His voice was calm but cold. "Maybe they don't belong to your world, Cray, but they belong to mine." Cray laughed, cruel and hollow. "You're a fool. You'll die for aliens that would have killed you years ago." Reed shook his head. "No, they would have died for me." The wind rose again, swirling snow between them. The world seemed to hold its breath. Then the first shot rang out. The blaster fire lit up the storm. Reed moved fast, diving behind a snow-covered truck. He returned fire not to kill, but to protect. He didn't want to be their enemy, only their shield. Bullets cut through the air. Sparks flew. Cray shouted orders, his voice full of hate. "Take him down!" Reed's arm bled, his vision blurred, but he didn't stop. Each second bought the sisters a chance to live. He remembered his little sister's face, her bright smile, her belief that even in darkness people could still choose kindness. That memory kept him standing. Inside the tunnel, Naya heard the sounds of war above. Each blast made her heart jump. She wanted to run back, but she held Lyra tightly. "Stay here," she whispered, tears filling her eyes. "He's fighting for us. We can't let his sacrifice be wasted." Lyra nodded weakly, clutching her sister's hand. "He's a good human." "Like in your stories." "Yes," Naya said softly. "He is the story." Outside, Reed was losing strength. Smoke rose from the snow and the sky glowed orange with fire. Cray approached slowly, weapon ready. "It's over, Reed," he said. "You've betrayed your kind." "Any last words?" Reed's breathing was shallow. He looked up at the dark clouds, then met Cray's eyes. "If being human means following monsters like you, then I'd rather die with my heart still human." Before Cray could reply, Reed pressed a small button on his wristband. The ground shook slightly, an old mining charge he had armed earlier. Cray's eyes widened. "What have you—" A bright flash erupted behind them. The explosion tore through the ridge, collapsing the entrance and blocking the soldiers' path. The tunnel was sealed. The sisters were safe. Reed fell to his knees, snow swirling around him. His vision dimmed, but a faint smile touched his lips. Somewhere far away, he thought he heard laughter. His sister's laughter. And then silence. Hours passed. The storm finally stopped. The sky cleared and sunlight spilled across the frozen world like a blessing. Deep inside the tunnel, Naya slowly opened her eyes. The shaking had stopped. She waited, listening, no gunfire, no voices. Only the quiet hum of the wind above. "Is it over?" Lyra asked softly. Naya nodded, though her throat ached. "Yes, little star. It's over." She helped Lyra stand. They walked toward the tunnel's edge, where light broke through small cracks in the rock. Beyond it lay the frozen horizon, calm, empty, peaceful, but Reed was gone. Naya fell to her knees in the snow. She looked at the destroyed ridge, her tears freezing as they fell. "He saved us," she whispered. "He gave us everything." In her hands, she still carried the small energy cell Reed had given her. The light inside flickered softly, the last thing he had touched. She held it to her heart. "Thank you, Captain Reed, for showing us what humanity truly means." Days later, rescue signals from the blast reached another human outpost. The soldiers who found the tunnel expected enemies. Instead, they found two aliens, one young, one older, huddled together under a broken blanket. The officer who led them, a woman with kind eyes, knelt beside Naya. "Who helped you?" she asked gently. Naya looked up, voice trembling. "A human. He stayed behind so we could live." The officer frowned. "What was his name?" Naya smiled through her tears. "Reed, Captain Reed." The officer's expression softened. She nodded slowly. Then his story won't be forgotten. Weeks later, word spread through the colonies. The tale of a human soldier who gave his life for two alien sisters reached both species. Some called him a traitor, others called him a hero. But those who truly understood called him something greater, a reminder of what humanity should be. And on that cold world, under the twin moons, two sisters planted a small beacon where Reed had fallen. When the light of the beacon shone into the sky, it looked like a single bright star, the kind that never fades. Naya held her sister close and whispered, "He showed us mercy when no one else would." That is what makes humans different. Lyra smiled faintly, resting her head on her sister's shoulder. "Do you think we'll see him again?" Naya looked up at the sky where that one star burned brighter than all the rest. "Maybe not here," she said softly. "But in every act of kindness, he'll live again." And as the camera of imagination pulls back into the endless night, the last voice echoes through space. Even in the darkest galaxy, one human heart can still light the stars.